All right, here we go. Please subscribe to the channel. Please.
Hey guys, YouTube's got an algorithm and it really help us out a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe. This is how we can get more information out to more people and share the message of Toronto real estate.
In
Thanks.
that order, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the damn bell. Yes, it is. There he
Welcome,
is,
welcome. There you
Mr.
go, Daryl.
TK in the house, coming to
Happy
us
Sunday.
live from the shores of Chicago.
My shirt says Chicago and my background says somewhere else, but I'm up in Owen Sound.
Look at you. Business
Yeah.
in the party in the front, business in the back. What's going on over there?
Sure, whatever you say.
Where are you?
How up in Owen Sound, we're doing like a Sabo Beach, Tobermory, Bruce Peninsula this whole weekend. Going
Isn't
all
that
around day trips up
nice?
here. Yep.
Well, happy 4th of July long weekend, Canada Day long weekend,
I
July
think that's
1st.
July 1st. Yeah.
Yeah, where are we? All right,
That's
cool.
okay. So what's new with you? I've been getting lots of calls from different people. I've talked to a few people who've been listening to the show, and it seems like there's lots of people out there appreciating everything we're doing. So I appreciate you guys too. And if you're listening, great time to like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. We reply to all the comments and answer any of your questions. I feel like there's been questions asked that we haven't really gotten to.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, we kind of answer them in the comments, and then we don't really talk to them. Like the last one, there was somebody who was talking about more of a Canadian market approach, right? Not just the Toronto market. Um,
I don't know anything about most places. And I feel lately that I don't know even much about, Toronto. So branching out at the moment seems quite foolish. And considering how
yeah,
big we are already in Toronto, I mean,
yeah. A lot of the stuff that we talk about has to do with the Canadian real estate markets as well. And I think that a lot of the same things that we're dealing with here are also going on in other markets across Canada. But maybe when the markets start to diverge and things start to go different directions, we'll follow some of those other markets and try to keep people as updated as we can on those areas as well.
it's
But
interesting because Toronto does behave quite differently than the rest of the country. And
yeah,
this is why we specialize in this city because, well, one, we're just super special, but two, I mean, it's so hard to even know like a neighborhood within a city, right?
hmm
I mean, they tell, I believe, and maybe they don't anymore, but real estate 101 used to be to like mine a specific area, was it not?
farm it, farm it.
Farm it,
Yep,
mine it,
yep.
farm it.
You're the farmer, the local agent. And you know what? I always believe that, right? Just because there was so much information that you needed to have, in every single neighborhood, right? You needed to know where the schools are. You needed to know what houses were selling for. You needed to know which streets were good, which streets were bad. There were so many different things. Also, if you were getting your real estate license and they told you, Daryl, you are going to be the next big thing. All right. You are going to be a, top producing agent, right? A top producer. All you got to do is send out flyers to 3 million different homes every single month. What would you say?
Well, I come from a different perspective, but I imagine most people would say, "Whoa, how much is that going to
That
cost me?"
sounds expensive. So they say,
Jeez.
hey, why don't you start with 2 or 3 streets, Daryl, and send flyers to just those streets every month and then build your way up? Because if I've ever met any farming agent, they're all the exact same. They all start with a small geographical area and they increase and they increase and they increase until they can continue to increase. So is it really about farming and specializing in an area, or is it just agents only have a certain amount of budget to work with in order to be able to specialize in a certain area?
It seems that it might be a combination.
Okay.
But I would imagine that most people are just afraid to spend that money, not knowing the wonders of marketing and advertising.
Yes. So again,
It's hard
you're
to get it, like to spend money to make money, especially when you don't have any money. It's a really,
especially when you don't have any money. You haven't seen the system proven itself yet, right? You're like, this guy, I'm just meeting this guy. I paid for his coaching, and now he's telling me to spend more money in areas so that I can get more money for myself.
this is a
Does this
scam.
does this work?
This is
Does
a
this work?
scam. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
the reality is that if you look around, at least the city of Toronto, because I'm not too familiar with other places, like there's some pretty big names that started out in just kind of one neighborhood and just went kaboom. I'll bet Frank Leo was probably one of them.
him, along with every other top producing agent in North America. So
Yeah.
like the one coach that we deal with in Massachusetts. So he was in like some small town, and then you hear him talking, and he's in like 4 or 5 different states now, right? So
Yeah.
he started with like one area of Massachusetts, and then now it's like all these different states and all these different things. So it's always the same. It's business. You want to grow. You want to have people. I think if you're going to deal with someone like bringing me to Midland, Ontario, for me to sell you a cottage on Georgian Bay is probably not a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd have to use a GPS just to get to Midland, right? So I don't know the area that well. But if you're
Sure.
talking about like, Scarborough, Etobicoke, or North York downtown, like you're talking about the same markets, the same geographical areas, the same type of agent, the same type of services, and that there isn't a material difference, unfortunately. Although the local farming agents, they would want you to believe there is.
Well, I got to think that technology has helped people kind of broaden their horizons with knowledge of an area, right? I mean, it's not that hard if you know what you're doing and you have the right tools to kind of, with a quick snapshot, get a really good idea of what's going on.
Yeah,
Whereas before, it was like, well, I don't know what it was like. I wasn't around, but I imagine it was
yeah,
much harder to know everything about a pocket of the city, right?
yeah, yeah. There wasn't a Wikipedia page on every neighborhood in the GTA, right? There wasn't HoodQ, which gave you all the demographics and schools and all that kind of stuff of every single neighborhood of the GTA, right?
No,
There
there
wasn't
was
as much
none of
information.
this.
Okay.
None of this stuff. Like, I don't even think
Yeah.
realtor.ca, like even like there was not even a
Even
web browser.
yeah. How good is House Sigma?
It's better than realtor.ca, but it is
Yeah,
limited. And it could be much better, but I mean, we're
sure.
heading in the right direction, I think.
Yeah,
I,
they're by far like they knock it out of the park. Like I mean, we
compared
do.
to the standard website, they knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
But
Well, we have
compared to
something
what
new.
they should be, you have something new.
Remember, I told you I said Treb's coming up with a new MLS system.
Okay.
Did I send you the email or no?
I don't think so. Do you think this is interesting?
Yeah. I mean, right now I can't really talk about it. Or I'd have to kill you if I told you.
Ooh, okay. Now
But
it just got interesting because
what?
before I was like, I guess I was gonna need like some form of upper.
Yeah. So all I can tell you, and really
Yeah.
not because it's a secret, just because it's all I know, because I think it's in beta stage right now. They're doing something that's not been released to us officially yet. But basically, they've tried to take as much of the stuff from House Sigma, taken as much of the stuff from the old Stratus that was good, taken as much of the stuff from Matrix, which is what we switched to at the beginning of 2020, and actually have made a new system that's going to be probably the best MLS interface in North America now. So I'm excited.
I would put a wager on that
Okay.
because I've seen the results of Treb's like newest, greatest before. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure what you are currently on is a version of it, which they just did
No,
like a little while ago now.
no, Matrix has been around for a long time. It was just Stratus and Matrix were like the two competitors for the last, like, I don't know, 20 years or whatever. And they just opened up to Matrix. But Matrix has been around for a long time. It's an old system. So this is totally new. This is something that they actually brought in people who know what they're talking about.
That's good. Right before
Yeah.
half of you get replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Robots,
I,
realtor robots.
I think I actually didn't respond to this comment, which is very odd. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe it was
You're a
because I
jerk.
was away. But Matthew M said, "Fickin' Daryl, I didn't hear one F bomb." And
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Well, you
think
were at the cottage, so
because
maybe there was children around.
yeah, and if you listen not so closely, like you can hear a whole bunch of talking in the background. So I was in the middle of a family discussion. But anyways, let's talk about the market because the market, I feel completely disconnected, but I know you, as always, will be completely connected and fill me in on what's going on out there. Should I be worried that the value of my house is dropping as we speak?
So
I feel so panicked.
now, yeah, now the pressure. Now I have to make something up that's good, right? Otherwise, you're not going to be happy with it, right?
Oh
No,
my God.
no, we've definitely seen increases in number of showings and activity in certain areas. But there's definitely a slowdown as far as number of showings goes because people are open again. I mean, you got all these things that are open. If you haven't seen your elderly parents, you're going to go talk to them. If you haven't gone and got a haircut, you're scheduling that. If you need to go and pick up that item from the hardware store because you didn't want to order it from curbside pickup, you're organizing that one day. So there's
It's
definitely
bananas out there. Like I went to go grab something at Best Buy, which had a Costco beside it, and people were lined up for Costco. Like I don't even know, like it was a Beatles concert in there. It was like down the whole length of that entire building and around the corner.
Mhm.
People want to go out and spend some dough and have some fun.
Yeah. The good news is you've got a limited amount of listings that's coming up, right? Like that's really the main thing that counts. I'm just going to log into my Broker Bay account because this will actually help out a lot. But when
Do you want to share your screen?
sure, I can do that. Yeah.
Ooh, how
So
do we do that?
when things start to change, and obviously people are nervous about what's going to happen with the market, and that's a pretty logical concern to have. What's going on outside there? Um, we have a significant amount of less buyers out there. Like for sure, there's
Let,
definitely a lot less buyers.
less buyers. And so
Yes,
what about,
but
do
we
we have
have not
more
seen the show.
sellers or do we
The
have less
sellers haven't come
sellers?
on. The
No
sellers haven't. Let me
sellers.
share my screen. No, this
Ooh, now, okay. No
um,
sellers, no
allow Zoom to share
buyers.
the screen.
Price decrease? No, no chance.
No,
Prices are still out of whack with reality. This
sorry.
screen share
I've
has
got a
been
new
brought
computer.
to you by
I've got a new
no
computer.
one.
I've got a new
Yeah.
computer, so I
Well,
have to
why
like
don't you test
give
it out
Zoom
at all?
permission. I have to give. Will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit.
Oh, great. This sounds like it's going to work perfectly. Hold on. Let
This
me
is not
get
going to
ready
work.
to talk to myself for a few minutes. Well, oh, here we go.
Can you see?
Yeah. Look at this. What do we got here?
All right,
Broker Bay. Okay.
Broker
We were
Bay.
talking about that the other day. All right.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
don't know
it's a
how good this
Mac.
shows.
Look at you.
All right. So here is the analytics, right? So this gives us showings. All right. So we have to look at, we've noticed like things have been
Ooh.
going in the right direction over the last couple of weeks.
Showings month over month. What are we looking at right now? Are we waiting for it to load?
Yeah. Okay. So here just gives you, so here we are, June 27th, 2021 is the last reading, and you can see that showings are down, right? Showing
Consider.
volume. Okay. So this is showing volume 10, 20, 30,000, all the way up to 40,000. Okay.
It's like
And
it's
now
Christmas time.
what this is based off of is this is based off of in Toronto. Okay. So this is in Toronto. Every brokerage that has Broker Bay. So all the companies that subscribe to Broker Bay, I think it's about 30 to 40,000 agents are on Broker Bay. Okay.
This is for what?
So,
The showings
and
number?
all of their listings are using Broker Bay. All those 30 to 40,000 agents are using Broker Bay, and they're uploading, for showings, confirming appointments, all that kind of stuff. So of course, Broker Bay gets to track how many appointments are coming out of all this, right? So let's look at this. So showings, you can
Oh, year
see
over year. Who
year
cares?
over year. So you can see, right, where we were peaking in March, right? So 38,000 showings. That's the showing volume. Okay, that's a huge amount of showings. So we dropped coming towards the end of March, and we trudged along in May at a much lower level. This was significant because in this March area, it was crazy, right? It was absolutely insane. And so we started to feel the difference going from 40,000 down to 30,000. And you and I were doing our market updates at the beginning of May saying like, yeah, okay, it's slower, but it's still a fantastic seller's market. Because you can see, even compared to last year, 2020, you still had an amazing increase in showing volume, right? So here we are, we've got all this great showing volume. And then June 20th to June 27th, we had a sharp decrease in showing volume.
Look at that, though. It does. It looks like Christmas time.
Yeah. So again, so you have this time where all of a sudden everyone's allowed to go back outside again. And they're just like, oh my gosh, what do I need to be going to look at real estate for? Let's put my plans on hold and just kind of see what's going to happen. All right. So then we got to see, well, what are people doing? So what is it that people are doing during that time? So again, are they making offers? So again, the peak in offers, March 7th, March 21st, we're at that 2,400 offer range. Okay, that's a lot of offers to be getting in one day. So as we went along again in April, we started to see that offers were starting to decrease, and then we started to see prices, offer numbers drop off again, right? So down to 1,300 offers registered in one day. So a significant amount of less offers, right? Drop in offers, which is fine. That's okay, because look at new listings. So new listings, again, we were having those issues in March and things were just starting to get up and people started to hear that the real estate market was booming. So we started listing more and everyone's like, go, go, go. It's a good time to sell your house. And then everyone's like, wait a second. I got stuff to do. I gotta go see my mom.
I got shit to buy.
I gotta go to Home Hardware.
Home Depot's open.
Yeah. So
I need me some soil.
So this drop in new listings came out. So it was like, we don't have any more properties to show people. So yeah, there's less people out there big time, but there's also less properties to show, because the main thing is that people care about is this, right? They want to know, where's my average price, right? So as you can see, I wonder if I could change how this is weekly. That didn't make a difference.
It looks the same.
It's some weird anomaly. Clearly on January 24th, there was some crazy amount of houses that sold. There was like $100 million worth of inventory sold on one day.
Expensive, right?
Yeah, really expensive ones. Anyways, so here we go. So you can see that this is the average price. You can see in that little blue writing. Do you see that? So yeah. This one says 1,198,194. Right? So you can see as the prices are going, 1,123.
What up?
750. So obviously just some of the higher end stuff hasn't been selling lately. But don't worry about the most recent one. That's just because of a long weekend. Let's look at this after the long weekend. But if you look at even from June 20th, which was before the long weekend, we were still seeing average prices trudge along, no issues whatsoever.
Okay, hold on. What is the sales to listing ratio? Sale to new listings ratio. The only number that matters.
And again, this is not all of Treb. So this is not this. I usually only use this for showings and offers. But we're going into average pricing.
So hold on. Are you leading up to something here?
A dangerous part. No.
Are we leading up to something? No.
No, I'm just giving you the info raw. What I'm saying is that the market slowed down significantly over the last week. There's much less showings, but we have a huge disparity between the new number of listings that were coming out this past week than they were from a month ago. So there's no downward pressure on prices whatsoever. And if you talk to anybody, so I'll give you examples. Like in my, I'm going to stop sharing this now. In my office, we have hey, wants and needs and all that kind of stuff. If people are interested in, a certain type of property, if they have a client who's looking for a property or whatever it is, or they have a type of property that they're trying to sell, And there's a bunch of people sending messages right now, like saying, I have a buyer looking for 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars in this part of Toronto and this part of York region and this part of Scarborough. And we can't find anything because there's still a ton of buyers out there looking and they cannot find properties.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Well,
that's that's the sign of the seller's market continuing on from here. It's not something that's going to
it's
just
not.
change all of a sudden.
No, and it's
Yeah.
not going anywhere because nobody's doing anything about it except for writing stuff like Toronto condo prices are soaring for one specific type of unit, and value of GTA condos nearly double in 4 years. And this itty bitty Toronto studio condo just sold for almost $560,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do we got? Baby boomers and millennials. The fight over real estate heats up. This one I
Uh-oh.
like. This is interesting. But this is, oh, look at that. Oh, I thought you were just going to float there for a while. I
I'll
thought you
put
were
my
going to
arms
try to
down there as well.
levitate.
Yeah.
So baby boomers versus millennials, the battle for real estate heats up. So what this is talking about is that, a bunch of baby boomers are going to be on the prowl for real estate. And generally, they're not upsizing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to just create more competition for those younger buyers. Maybe not only first time home buyers, but like again, just more pressure on the market. And the only place where there's any inventory even kind of coming out is in condos, and it's freaking it's a joke. Like there's not one thing anywhere pointing towards a market crashing other than some stupid ass articles by some people trying to grab headlines right now. Like I can't imagine. I mean, I feel like a broken record. Canada way overextended in housing, but that doesn't make a difference because that's the plan, right? Like they're just stating the obvious. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, so, like everything in the last week has been about pressure on prices and get in because this thing is still crazy. And you're telling me it doesn't feel crazy because there's nothing to sell, right? Not because yes, okay. It's like before, on the way down before when the pandemic hit, we saw that kind of coming down in tandem and going back up in tandem, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
somehow, for some reason, the listings and the demand for those listings just keeps kind of like a buoy in the water, right? Like the
Yeah.
market's bringing the water down and everything's kind of following it for a bit. But this
Yeah.
is the calm before the tsunami. 100 like it's gonna get bananas.
It's happening in every market right now. It's happening in the stock markets. It's happening in the commodities. It's happening in the job market. It's happening with with our real estate, with imports and exports. Like everything just seems to be working in a whole entire random pattern that nobody really quite understands. And so whenever you hear all these like really, high paid economists from different places, whether it be Benjamin Tal or David Rosenberg or like one of these guys who's like out there that, the news is interviewing because they're hoping he's got the answers and all that kind of stuff like that. It's always just like unprecedented, not something that we're able to forecast, temporary, transitory, like every word they're using is just basically like look, right now, as long as this pandemic is going on, as long as we've got things that are influencing buyers and sellers to do different things, you've got so many different shortages from shipping right now. Shipping, if you talk to anybody who's in importing and exporting, to hear what they're paying for a container to come from China and all these other places,
Disaster.
unreal. Is that going to be forever? That shipping costs are going to be 3 times what they were 6 months ago? No, it's just right now it is because of obviously all the delays and everything else that has been caused from so many different areas, right, of the world economy. So there's just so many temporary uh, interruptions that we have on all these markets. So no matter what you and I can sort of prophesize, and no matter what anybody else is going to come up with their data and say, well, this is what's happened over the last 12 months. There's just so many things that are influencing people right now that are not going to be here forever. They're not.
They're not. It's true. There's a lot of them that won't be, and I think there's quite a few that will be. And even if it won't be here forever, I do feel like it'll be here long enough to cause some more trouble. Like you can't finish building a car right now if you're a car manufacturer unless you somehow still have I don't know, the chips or whatever that are missing, the silicone chips or whatever they're called. There's
Yeah.
a shortage, right? Like cars are being stacked up in parking lots all over the world because they can't finish them, and everything else that has some kind of a computer interface.
We just bought out a lease on our car because it was $5,000 almost cheaper than what the car was worth.
Right. And the
When does
and
that
the
happen?
used car market's gone
Yeah.
bananas. I
Yeah.
sold my car too soon and I bought my house at the wrong time, TK. I got all the timing all screwed up here, man.
I'm
No, I'm
telling you,
just kidding. I feel great about the house. I'm just joking around. I
I
think
know.
it's gonna go fucking bananas. Actually, the other day I had a dream. One, I had a dream that my wife was totally fine with the kitchen cabinets the way that they are.
Yeah, she should be. They're great.
I double checked when I woke up, and the fact remains is she is not. But
Yeah, for
I
now.
really, I think if we brought our furniture into that house and kind of took down their drapes, it would look way better than it does right now. And that's all it
100%.
really needs, right?
Yeah.
And,
As long
and
as you get the
so,
office in the front.
yeah, well, I think it's happening. But
Yeah.
no, I think I could actually change the furniture in there and make some money right away. That's how strongly I feel about this market because
Yeah.
you know what? A really nice I would not consider the house we bought like nicely finished at the moment. It's like it's acceptable
They're
for sure.
older, a couple in there. So
Right? It's
yeah.
older. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was done like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But a nicely finished house in there, especially right now, like what else? There's nothing else in there.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Throw a
else
coat of gray
anywhere.
on the walls and
Yeah, and
you'd be
boom.
you'd be up 5%.
Yeah, so God, I can just imagine like 5, 10 years from now. There's nothing to worry about. But so I read something today. They were talking about. See, we always talk about how they're going to bring in like 300,000 or 400,000 people in a year, right? And that sounds
Yeah.
really, really big, like and crazy, right? And
Yep.
we've talked about even if they miss their targets, it's still going to be crazy, like a flood and a wave of human beings, right? But somebody's today put it in like, their master plan is a 3-year plan. So when they say like 1.2 million people are going to join the country in the next 3
That's their
years,
target. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well, let's say they
They have
fall
annual
short.
targets though, but they have annual targets.
Yeah, but they're all like 400,000 a year.
Yeah. 400. Yeah.
Right? Well, so that equals 1.2. That's a gigantic
Yeah.
amount of people, right?
Yeah.
And how many, what's the population of Canada? Like
38.
38 million, of which 14 or 15 are just in Ontario,
Yeah.
right? So if we have, let's say we're off by 50% and we have 600,000 people and 40% of them are coming to Toronto, like Ontario, right?
Hmm.
Of which another 50% are coming to Toronto. And that's why Toronto needs its own show dedicated to it because it's its own microcosm. Because those kind of numbers cannot not affect this market. We can't keep up when we don't have that kind of immigration, right? We
I,
don't. We
I
don't.
think we should have I think we should have a change in some of the immigration policies. Tell me what you think. No
Well,
one's no one's asking me, by the way. And I'm totally pro immigration. But if there is some sort of threshold where some people are not able to um, qualify right away, then offer them like a an arrangement where you say, instead of moving to Toronto, which we know you're going to go to, Mr. Jones, right? You end up going to like one of the parts of Northern Ontario or one of the provinces who's struggling in their labor market, or an area that needs more people, and they figure out ways around it.
I'm having trouble getting past the immigrant's last name being Jones.
Jones. Okay. Well, he changed his last name when he got here.
I think so.
Yeah. He wanted to
Okay.
just be a little bit like
Now I can
assimilated.
handle it. Okay.
Yeah.
So where are we going with this?
I don't know, but I'm just thinking like maybe Winnipeg needs more people. And instead of everyone going to Toronto, obviously there's going to be more high skilled people coming there. But if people are saying to themselves, I want to get in and I don't have the necessary qualifications for whatever reason, we say, well, look, you and your family is going to set up shop for 5 years in Winnipeg. And after your 5 years is done, feel free to go and move wherever you want. Signed, federal government.
So you're saying to direct them to where we want population growth.
There's about, I think it's 70% of the population lives within 100 kilometers of the US border.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
you
a
know
problem.
why? Because it's way warmer.
Sure, but that's a problem.
Well,
For housing, this is the Toronto Real Estate Show, Darryl. It's a problem for housing. So in 5 years, maybe our housing issues will have more solutions and we'll be able to create more supply, which will help keep prices lower so that we don't have a rush of what we foresee as being close to 400,000 more people coming to the GTA, or at least the Greater Toronto Hamilton area, the Horseshoe. No, that's a huge number of people over the next 3 years.
it's a huge number of
We already
people.
looked at housing starts. Remember, we looked at housing starts for the first
Sure.
quarter, and they're under 30,000 houses.
Well, hold on a sec. So what's even crazier is, let's say all of us, the entire audience of the Toronto Real Estate Show voted you in,
Yeah,
and this happened, and you started diverting people away.
yeah,
We would still have a gigantic amount of people coming to the GTA.
yes.
Ridiculous amount of people still coming to the GTA. And you know what happens when you tell somebody they can't go where they want to go? What happens, TK?
They find a
What would,
way.
what would happen with you?
They find a way. I wouldn't be in that
And then the
job for very
next thing
long.
you know, we got the border issues in Ontario, and we have to build a wall. And you know what? I think we need to rethink that. We need to
Look,
think,
I'm not an immigration
okay?
expert, and I don't proclaim to be. I know nothing. I never immigrated. I was born here. I don't know all the processes, so don't come to me for immigration advice. But to me, there are solutions. I think Canada as a whole needs those 1.2 million people. Okay, we have a lot of labor shortages. We have a lot of issues that are going to be coming up after the pandemic. That's going to be solved through immigration, and especially with economic growth, we need to have more people here. This whole temporary wage subsidies that they have right now. I mean, the 75% of wages, the CERB, and then the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy, right, for the businesses,
Yeah.
right? Those are all coming up in September.
Well, how
Right?
about letting them open and make some bloody money already?
People are going, okay, but that's all coming through, obviously, and obviously Ontario is the big province for that. People are going back to work, and that all these jobs, I'm out there, I'm seeing job posting, I'm seeing companies. Where did I drive by the other day? I drove by a plant of some sort in South Durham area. It was either Pickering or Ajax, and they had to get one of those signs those A-frame signs that you put up on the main street and put on there, like hiring workers, like this starting at this much, because they can't find anybody.
There's one around the corner from where I live also.
Yeah. So they don't have enough people working at these places that they need to advertise on the street just for people to drive by. So there's
Anywhere.
jobs. It's just there's no incentive. One of the things that I wanted to mention with you today, this was something that had come out in what was this? Probably at the beginning of the year. So this is when they were looking at the wage subsidy, right? And trying to figure out which businesses, right? So 33% of businesses were taking the wage subsidy, $83.5 billion. This was just up until April to October 2020. Okay, so a pretty big number of businesses. And this was the craziest part, right? They talked a lot about this in the news. The type of businesses that took the subsidies, right? And how some of them were earning like record years and stuff like that, right? Which is nuts.
Are you sharing your screen, or are we waiting
No,
for you
I'm
to
not
put something
sharing it.
up?
I'm trying to throw something up here. Sorry, Darryl.
Ah. So what are we waiting for right now?
The businesses that I wanted to look at here.
Are you going to tell us what those businesses were, or just that
I got two of the business.
businesses?
Only publicly traded companies are going to be the ones that have to disclose this, right? Right. Like if you're a
Disclose
private
their
company and
earnings?
you're getting, if you're getting
Sure.
the wage subsidy, then if you're a private business, you don't have to disclose this, but the publicly traded ones have to. I don't know why I'm not finding it right now though. But anyways, the bottom line is, and this was making headline news. Everyone was really upset about this because some of them were getting like these huge packages for their shareholders and stuff like that, and like all the
Sure.
executives were earning all these
Oh yeah.
bonuses. There was a ton
That's
of
what
money going
happens.
out.
That's what happens in times like this.
Yeah. And some of these businesses were earning millions, 10, 20. One of them was about almost $80 million that they were paid out in the wage subsidy. I was with a client the other day who was telling me, and they worked for a big company. And again, I can't remember it, so my memory's not as good today. They were talking about the company that they worked for, and they said, well, right now the government's paying our wages. And that was like, so even like the morale around the office is a little bit different because they obviously don't have to worry about the business side of things because the government's forking out 75%. Right. So it's a pretty um, propped up economy right now. Right. So once things do start to get back on track, which will be after September, hopefully. I mean, there's still some of the hard hitted sectors that have to still be supported. But in the fall, when things do start getting back to normal and the places that are having record years who really haven't been affected or maybe are minimally affected, they'll start to have to pay their employees on their own again, and they will, start doing the right thing. And a lot of the people who are sitting at home right now collecting CERB or for whatever reason deciding not to work, they'll go and fill those jobs that you and I are seeing being advertised everywhere. And then the unemployment rate will start to go down. So then everyone will say, yeah, it's a great idea for immigration to happen. Yeah, okay, maybe we do need it. It's just right now it's not easy for people to say that when unemployment's so high. That was the point of the story, Joe.
Whoa, that was a long road to get there. Jesus Christ, man. Okay, so hold on a sec. So we talked about it last show, and I saw something that was pretty interesting. So we talked about how big developer Core Developments raised $1 billion and is going to start buying residential houses. And they have money and they can pay more because they have a long-term outlook. And so I was watching a video or I read something somewhere where it was talking about how, oh, it was Condo Wong, who just won't come on the
Shout
show.
out. Shout out.
Shout out to
Kondo
Condo.
Wong's coming on the show, Joe.
We love you. Please
Yep.
come on the
Announce it. We're
show.
announcing it now. Kondo Wong's coming on the show.
One day we will have you on the show. But Condo Wong was talking about how some developers in the States have been doing it, and now Core is the first one doing it here, and why it actually, from a business standpoint, forget about the fact that, they might be screwing up the market, which Condo Wong says they're like 0.1% of the market, like the amount of sales that go through the market. So really, it's not a big deal. So everybody calm down. But what it is a very interesting business pivot, right? Why would you buy a plot of land that you are unsure what you will get on that piece of land, spend years dealing with the city to rezone it, and hundreds upon hundreds, if not millions of dollars to get the thing zoned and permitted, and then years fighting with trades and buying materials that are stuck in containers in the Suez Canal and God knows what on a job site, right? Especially a big one. Why not just buy houses that are already built and hang on to them or flip them? I mean, you're a business, you're in construction, right? You've got all this money, you've got all this, like, why would you go through all of that when you could just buy houses for more than the competition and win? Like, right?
It's a
And
business
so,
strategy that they've obviously thought out.
yeah, well, guess what? A good business strategy doesn't end up in just one company's hands, right? A bunch of other people are going to go, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. Now I'm going to go raise $1 billion to buy some houses, right? And then some guy from Iran is going to go, oh, I can get tons of money to do this. and then a guy from China, and then a guy from Korea, and on and on and on. While all the guys in Toronto have decided, what the hell am I doing this for? This is crazy. Let the young guys do it. This is the stupid man's game, right? Boom. I don't think I got him. And so what happens to prices then when the guys who were bringing on all the supply go, this environment's ridiculous to bring on new supply. I'm going to start eating up the old supply and making money off of that. Well, right? Killing
Yep.
demand, like boosting supply while immigration is running hot, right? Because they're doing it as a play because everybody sees rents coming back. Everybody that had half a brain knew rents were only suppressed momentarily. That was transitory, okay? Toronto's rent suppression was the one of the things that is definitely transitory because that's
Temporary.
bouncing back like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Listen, you think food prices are ever going down again? Zero chance. Food's not going down. Gas isn't going down. Gas went down. It's on the way back up, right? Housing going up. Now they're starting to count housing and debt in the numbers for the Bank of Canada. That's all big news. I don't even know what that means. But like it's going to be bananas. Bananas. You can't kill this with a pandemic. You can't kill this with 9/11. You can't kill this with the Great Depression or recession. You can't kill it. Yeah, right? Like we're trying to kill this thing or outside forces trying to kill it. And guess what? We have 124 cranes in the sky now. Right?
Have you in the last week, okay? Because I don't want to keep surveying just the two of us because I know that that's unfair and the numbers keep coming out the same. Have you met anybody in the last week who's told you that they are going to make a conscious choice to be homeless instead of living with a roof over their head?
Ooh, this survey, I have to think about it every time you ask me.
Yeah, just in case. Maybe someone walked by you and said, "Hey, Darryl, you know what? I'm thinking about going homeless this week."
Well, there was this guy yesterday as we were driving on Oakwood. We were driving north on Oakwood onto Eglinton, and this guy just thought it was the best idea in the world to stand in the middle of the street with his hand out at the light. And I'm pretty sure he was saying to me, "Hey, Darryl, you're finally going to get the answer for the survey that, yes, I want to be homeless."
But he was working hard, maybe not to be, right? So it sounds like he's hoping to get a roof over his head. And this is, I'm making a joke out of a serious issue, but
he was saving it, I think. It wasn't
yeah.
for anything else.
Okay. But you get my point here. Okay. So housing is necessary for everybody. Commercial businesses, you know what? Some businesses sometimes have to be, reshuffled and things, go up and down as the economy changes. People need a place to run their business. Also, businesses shift. Look at Amazon. I saw the Ajax Amazon fulfillment center the other day, and it looks exactly like something Amazon would build. It's like 10 or 12 or more football fields on a corner in a not too far off residential neighborhood in North Ajax. It's crazy. It is so mind-boggling. Think about all the businesses that Amazon is putting out of business because of them opening up their shop. Think about all the people who right now are closed. Maybe they're just getting open. But are you going to stop ordering from Amazon, Darryl Frankfurt?
Nope.
Me neither, because it's convenient. They got me hook, line, and sinker. Now it's easy for me to just say, I got my little ring telling me when the package comes. I'm away this weekend. Something was dropped off, while I was away. Texted my neighbor, go and grab my package. She grabbed it. Everything's good. I got a system in place. I don't need to go out and shop as much as I used to anymore. No. So think about all the businesses that will change. So the commercial real estate sector, that's going to be in a huge transition over the next 10 years. It's going to take a long time to figure out what we're going to do there. But residential, everybody needs a place to live. And as we get more people coming, we need places to live. And no matter what people say about the housing market and how it's overvalued and, there's nobody who's going to be able to pay these prices and everything like that, investors will find a way. They will convert every single family home into a 2 or 3 unit property until they can get the cash flow they need to pay those bills. People are looking now, there's financing guys who are coming to me with propositions for Airbnb financing. So they're saying, look, if you've got an Airbnb, because most banks don't use Airbnb rental. So they'll say you have an Airbnb that's already operating and you buy it. or you're an operator yourself and can prove your system's working, they'll finance based off the Airbnb value. So now guys can go around getting mortgages on Airbnb rental income, right? So you have all this different
Really? People are willing to
incentive.
lend based on Airbnb income?
It's a small niche lending solution, right? It's not the big lenders, right? So it's just one of those things that people are looking at now. So it's like,
Sure.
how do I get housing? Because as an investor, you need to have uh, confidence that people are going to be paying you that money every single month, and the likelihood of them paying you the money is high. It's very high.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like in my business, I get an inside track on what things are what's coming out where and for how much. And like everything is launching at 900 plus, like 900 is the new 650.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous if it's not launching at 1,000 because and not because developers are greedy. Like you can't make a profit unless you launch at $1,000 now. You can't. You don't even know what your
Yeah.
costs are going to be. You have no idea. You can't even get like a toilet.
Did you hear about the governor of California saying he's going to pay back hundreds of millions of dollars of back rent?
I did not
Did you
hear
read that or
that.
no?
No, I read that he
So
was his like his uh what's it called when they run for governor?
yeah,
His campaign
campaign.
something, yeah. No, so he's gonna pay people all the like the businesses, everything that they're owed from tenants.
Yep, and to cover 100% of the back rent owed by many low-income residents whose finances were hurt by the COVID-19 pandemic. So pay at least 25%. The state protections for tenants who pay at least 25% of their rent are set to expire Wednesday. So if you're paying at least 25, you couldn't get evicted. But now the new agreement with the leaders of the state and the assembly, 3-month extension, and that it'll give them more time to distribute hundreds of millions of dollars in rental assistance that has gone unclaimed since it was offered since March. And
Unclaimed? What? Why?
well, basically because people are like, I don't want to do the paperwork if I can't be evicted. They're like, well, if I'm not going to be evicted anyways, why am I going to fill out all this paperwork to get the rental assistance because I'm not getting evicted. So now they're saying, okay, well, we're going to release the moratorium, and that we're going to say to you, you have to start paying your rent, but we're actually going to be paying some of the back rent in the into the landlord's pockets,
Wow. Wow,
right?
that's like money from heaven dropping on those guys.
Yeah, well, it's hundreds of millions of dollars
Holy.
that they're going to be spending on some other program that's going to be wasted anyways. So I'm not saying that's going to
Wow.
happen in Ontario. Um, they've obviously been doing everything they can on the commercial side, which I think they've done a fantastic job to help these. For me, it's the gyms, right? I think they've done a fantastic job to help these gyms keep their head above water until September, and I'm really happy that that's been happening. But on the residential side, if you weren't paying your rent, I mean, you should have been getting served. You should have had some sort of other wage subsidy. Like they were really doing everything they can, not on the tenant side. They were doing it on the business side, right? On the income side, trying to keep people from going into arrears on their rents and stuff like that. And there's tons of people with special circumstances who have not been able to pay their rent. And I feel for those people. And there is a segment of the population who is just not paying their rent because they can get away with it and they know that they can't get evicted, and that their plan right now is just to wait it out, get evicted, and then go and find another rental afterwards, and they'll start paying their rent again from there. And those landlords, mostly small time landlords, will take a loss. Because I've talked to some bigger guys, the bigger property management guys that I would come in contact with. They're not behind. A lot of the apartment buildings are doing okay.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, they're not stuck with a bunch of eviction orders and all these people not paying their rent. The people are paying.
Because most people don't know the rules, right? You know the
Mm-hmm.
rules. I know the rules. We could take advantage of them if we wanted to, but most
Mm-hmm.
people would be afraid to be evicted. They don't know what their rights are. You know, they,
Yeah, especially a big corporation that owns your building. It's like 250 units. Or like, do I really want to owe money to these guys?
but then there's other people that make a career of being evicted and bouncing around and not paying rent ever.
Yeah. They're like, this
Right.
Darryl Frankfurt guy, like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? He's gonna chase me. He's gonna take me to the landlord tenant board, and I'll have a hearing in a year. He's
Yeah.
not getting his rent. There are some
He's not.
TikTok videos of people like shouting at their landlord, like, "This is my house.
Yeah. Get off
This
my
is my house.
lawn.
Get off my property."
Get off
I'm like,
my
oh my
property.
god, what a
I
nightmare.
saw that. I
Yeah,
saw
what a
that.
nightmare.
I didn't somebody end up in a trunk? Wasn't that in that Netflix documentary where the guy grew up on your street? What was that?
Oh, you're thinking
The
about
the
the
psycho
cats.
murder, the
Don't
cat
don't
thing. Don't
don't
F with
for cats or
cats.
whatever. Yeah.
Don't wasn't that from there? And then the guy
Uh,
ended up in the trunk?
yeah. No, no, I don't remember that part of that. No, I'm talking
Wow.
about like recent tenant videos who just weren't paying their bills.
Yeah, listen, if you know your rights and you're a tenant, you can cause some havoc for some people.
Yeah, you always have been. You always have been
But
in Ontario.
if you know your rights, you can go live in a mansion for as long as you can, like, if you can get the lease and you can get them to sign it somehow, you
Yeah,
can stay there. And now probably for like a year,
yeah. That's what it is. It's about a year
right?
to
People
get a
to live
hearing for an
somewhere.
N12, or if you've served notice because you want to move in for your own personal use, or you're trying to evict because they owe money on an N4, so they haven't paid their rent. Um, if you are filing because they're constantly late, like an N8, like things like that, you're looking at close to a year,
Can you
9 to
even
12
get
months.
somebody? Can you get somebody out of an Airbnb technically?
As long as it's being paid through the Airbnb, yes. The second you take cash, you are no longer protected under the short-term rental, right? So as soon as you circumvent the Airbnb system, it's no longer protecting you. And that's something that people have made that mistake. So that was like a case study where the lady said, "Oh, sure, like you want to stay an extra month? No problem. And why should we pay Airbnb? Just pay me all the cash. I won't have to pay Airbnb the 20% or 30% or whatever it is." So, of course, that tenant was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's a great idea. I want you to, have a little bit of extra money at the end of the month."
Wow.
And they
So
decided to
okay,
stay. They became a
so,
tenant.
so you could do that. You could go rent a beautiful cottage on the lake. Say to the person, pay for a month, pay for a week even, and say,
They're a
hey, you know
super
what?
host. They know this trick.
I want to stay for an extra week. Yeah,
Yeah.
but people are stupid.
A
It's
lot of people are
cash.
stupid and
It's
greedy.
cash. It's
Yeah.
cash. Yeah,
Yeah.
people are greedy and people are crazy and people will try anything, especially now. If you've been
Yeah.
hurting over the last little bit, like some man's got to do what a man's got to do,
The
right?
scams are coming out. Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
scams are coming out. So hold on. Do we think that there's some level of danger ahead? Like, are we maybe going to see that cliff? Maybe it's not a mortgage deferral cliff.
In this states, there's a huge eviction moratorium that's being lifted in July.
That's
So there's a pre.
two moratoriums in one episode, TK. You've reached
Yeah.
your limit.
Okay. No more.
You can't say that word
No more
again.
big words. I got to go back to $2 words here.
That's right.
So that's something that a lot of people are talking about this week. So they've all been saying like how there's just going to be a mass eviction event in the states and stuff like that too. But we just aren't seeing that right now. I think the only thing that I can possibly come up with is the stress test happened. Obviously, it did impact everybody and their mortgages. There were a lot of pre-approvals where the banks were honoring the old stress test prior to June 1st. And we just haven't really seen the full impact of that yet. Okay, so that's one area. And then the businesses that were shut down or that are being propped up, I should say, that were shut down because of the lockdowns in September when they reopen, are they all going to be having the type of business that they think they should have? Because right now, if you're getting like up to 90%, I think there's an up to 90% commercial assistance right now. If you're getting taken off that completely, and now you have to start your business, depending on the type of business you have, it could take you 6 months to get your customers ramped up again, right? And if you don't have the business that you had before, for whatever reason, whatever industry it is, you may not survive. So that's another fear that we have coming in the fall.
Well, I think you're foolish if you go into reopening or opening something new thinking that things will be the same as they were before. I mean, anything takes time to ramp up, whether it's new or it was in existence before. Although, from what
Yeah,
I've seen, I mean, I've been out a couple of times on patios. These things are hopping. People just want to be out. They don't give a shit
yeah,
anymore. People are walking around, no mask, with mask at their under their nose, over their nose, under their mouth. Like the gloves are off right now, it seems. And you know what?
yeah.
Like I have this website that I've been tracking this pandemic for a year and a half now, and Canada didn't even come up on the list. Like it's so far down in the amount of cases. It's like I mean, you can't
Things are
help but
changing,
feel a little bit more secure. Things are changing.
and we have $230 billion in savings right now to deploy into the economy. That's what people are
How do
sitting
they
on.
know that?
The banks all talk, right? They all
Right,
look
right.
at how much money's in there. So this is from Benjamin Tal. $230 billion in savings.
$230 billion in savings with people that yeah. Is it people that aren't normally savers?
Yeah,
Like,
big time.
or is it just really wealthy people just added a whole bunch into their savings?
One guy got an extra 200 billion.
Right?
No.
Like Jeff Bezos just pumped up those
His
numbers.
bank account. No, these are Canadians. So $230 billion in savings. That's everybody. That's
Is it
everybody
just the
from the bottom
Reichmans?
to the top,
Yeah.
right? The guy who saved 5 grand this year, who never had. I remember talking to people just over the last year who said, I've paid off my credit card. I've had my credit cards for 10 years and I never could pay them off. And now they've got themselves out of debt. I've heard people say that, they've got more money than ever. I've heard people say that they've been able to do
Sure.
things that, they never thought they could do before. Um, and that's scary in itself. It's a little nerve wracking to say, well, why is everybody doing so well right now, and how long is that going to last, right? So I'm with you. There's always some skepticism.
Well, there's savings, and I don't think what's factored into savings, I mean, it can't possibly be. On top of savings, a whole country of owners just made a whole shit ton of money in the last couple of years on paper,
Yeah,
right? So they're feeling a little loosey goosey, They're like, hey, fuck, I just made like $500,000.
yeah,
Hey, Betty, can you believe it? Like this thing just
yeah,
went up more than we ever could have imagined in 2 years. Forget about our whole lives.
yeah,
Like, let's go to Calgary. Let's sell this place and rent it to the new guys and then stop paying them rent, live here for a year and move to Calgary with savings. Maybe that's why people have so much savings. They just scooped all their rent. Convince me. Go fuck
they
yourself.
stop paying the rent. Yeah,
Yeah,
for you to be a baby boomer right now and not have like huge connections in the GTA or Ontario or whatever it is, and not thinking about selling and moving to another province, I mean, now's the time to do it, right? Now's the time to do it. Take your propped up house price, sell that sucker, let a new family come in and do what they need to do with it, like the one that you bought and what a lot of people are selling in the Toronto area, and move into the retirement home now. Like, do it. Go to the condo, go to the East Coast, go
vote for
to
TK. We'll put you in a home
prairies,
sooner.
wherever. No,
Whether
not a
you
home,
like
the
it or
retirement home, the place
oh,
that you want to
the
live where you're
community.
downsizing to.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, your retirement house.
Yeah, the place that you want to be, that you're going to relax near the
I
beach, near
see.
the
I
water,
see.
near the ocean, near the casino. I don't care
Near
what you
the
do.
water. Okay, you
Get
know what?
over there.
You gotta be in the top 0.5% to own something on the water. Forget the
Yeah.
water, unless you're
Like, what
gonna
are you
dig
waiting
a
for?
trench somewhere and say I live on the water.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Take the
Everything
money and run.
everything is crazy. It
Yeah.
is just amazing. So hold on a sec. Before we go,
Okay. This is the end of the show.
the end of the show, we we were in a conversation with a gentleman in the comments that was quite interesting last week. I
Okay.
don't know if you remember.
I do.
Um, the gentleman encouraged, I think, us, but me to join a Facebook group called like
Oh,
the Toronto housing market bubble. And wow, like if talk about misinformation and like just negative Nancy's all over the place, like man. Now, it is confirmed that this viewer came from the Mike in the Night Show or Mike Martin's channel. He was a cross-breed audience member from that telecast. But
Crossbreed.
this group of people, man, they don't like what's going on in the real estate in Toronto. But
Yeah. Well, let's
through the
not give them any more
conversation,
attention than they've already
because
gotten.
I love
So,
it. Listen, we've said it many times on this show. If you say something long enough, eventually you're going to be right, right? But there's been people my entire life calling for a crash in Toronto. And I'm pretty sure that this Facebook group was started many, many, many years ago. And they've been calling for the crash even before they started this group, right?
yeah.
And so, TK, once again, I'm going to ask you to end the show.
Tell me.
What will it take to derail the Toronto real estate market?
Interest rates.
Again, with the goddamn interest rates.
That's it. If interest rates remain
If they go up half a point,
3%, everything's going to be okay. Interest rates go up to 5, 6, 7%. We're
slowly,
not going to be able to handle these prices at 5, 6, 7%.
We won't be able to handle these prices at 5, 6, 7%. So what happens?
They haven't been 5, 6, 7% for a very long time.
Yeah, since like I bought my first house, they weren't even that high.
Yeah. So
which is like
20. It may never. And there's lots of articles you can read online that will talk about why interest rates can never go back up to those numbers again. But again, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. But that's the only thing that could kill it. Everything else would be a temporary, like in 2007, just a little, maybe we got to go a little change of direction here. We've got a little bit of a slowdown. We've got, some things that are factoring in towards, a lack of growth or maybe a lack of confidence in the buyers and stuff like that. But unless you can take away the buying power of the buyers and you take away what they can actually pay for, because people will continue to pay as much as possible to get the house of their dreams, because everyone loves real estate in Canada, and they are 100% in. They will put their entire income in if the bank allows them to. They'll say, I'll pay 100% of every dollar will go into the house. That's fine. I'll eat cans of beans and go to the food bank. That's what people would do.
So, but
that's an
what
exaggeration,
happens?
But it's true.
But here, check out this scenario, and maybe I'm crazy. But let's just say they start hiking rates a quarter point every 6 months or a year, and they start creeping up. And we've got these corporations who've figured out that, hey, if I just buy up the housing stock, I don't give a shit what I pay as long as I'm planning to hold this thing for 30 to 50 years. And more of those guys come on. Can they not handle the increased interest rates on their gigantic portfolio of single family detached houses?
Unfortunately, and Kondo Wong mentioned this, there's no one single entity that's going to be able to, prop up the housing market. It's that big. It's that big, right? Every day, Susan and Jerry's out there need to be in the market in order for the housing market to remain where it is. Can't just be investors, can't just be immigrants, can't just be freeholds, can't just be condos, can't just be baby boomers, can't just be millennials. It's got to be everybody in order for the housing market to remain. If you take everybody out, then you're only left with one or two. It's not strong. They're not strong enough on their own to sustain it.
Well, it's going to be interesting because baby boomers and millennials and Generation X and Generation Y and everybody all think very, very differently, are all using different financial instruments these days. And God knows what things are going to look like in the near and midterm future. But one thing is for certain. Prices in Toronto will go up between today and tomorrow, and maybe even the day after that. That I will guarantee. And with that,
beautiful,
Mr. TK.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Always nice to see
Happy
you,
Sunday.
my friend. Enjoy the beach of Chicago, sir.